Welcome back, guys. It's the big Premiership review once again, round 4, this time coming out a bit quicker because there's no international rugby and some really exciting derbies. This is the time where they try and get every match as a derby match, and we can see now that the table is stock full of 5 teams on 3 wins, so really tight. 2 at the bottom there still on 0 wins. Having a look at the games, we had Sale with a big win against Newcastle, pretty comfortable. Then an absolute thrilling comeback by Bristol against Exeter, an amazing away win for Bristol. And Gloucester versus Bath, a West Country derby there. Bath with a really decent win. Gloucester playing some attractive rugby though. And Leicester at home were too much for Northampton. Northampton couldn't put it together in attack, and Leicester are tough, they're dogged. Well, that's just Leicester, isn't it? And Harlequins putting up a massive defensive effort to see out Saracens for their first win in 4 years. So an amazing derby day there, really exciting derby weekend, we should say. And thank you for all the positive feedback about these big Premiership reviews. It takes quite a lot to put together. Obviously watching every minute of the games, making the notes, making the video. So if you're into this sort of thing and you appreciate it, I would love your subscription, your like, your view. So the first game, Sale 43, Newcastle 10. A big loss for Newcastle. And the question I wanted to answer really was, why are Newcastle so much worse? So that was kind of the lens I was looking at it through. I think we always knew Sale were going to win. We'd heard that Steve Diamond was trying to simplify the game plan, get all the variations boiled down into just a few plays. The problem is, if you're playing a basic game plan, you have to be that bit better than the opposition player by player, and they're just not. So I think really they should just go for broke and expand that game plan again and go for it and try and get a win somehow. Because I think just playing percentage rugby, playing the basics, they just don't have big enough ball carriers, they don't have enough creative back. So I think they've just got to go for it and try and get that win from somewhere, because at the moment they're not even getting close to a bonus point and are sitting on a plain 0 points. So something's got to change. What it is, I'm just not sure. Now, overall, I think the Sale are really hanging on for George Ford to come back if they're going to make that top 4, because they could have taken a lot more chances in this game. That being said, they won pretty comfortably. Newcastle decided to use Adam Radwan to try and mark out Aaron Reid, who is the former Premiership winger, and that didn't really work as Reid wins the battle, turning Radwan inside out for his second try. Maybe they should have used Radwan on the opposite wing to try and do the same to Roebuck, but again, it was a tough one, and Reid definitely confirmed he's the most dangerous. Did hobble off, but it didn't seem too serious. And in the Battle of the Bulk, Sale inevitably won that battle. High effort from the Falcons, definitely, but the loss is going to come, really. The Curry brothers were dominating the breakdown. I think I would say that Ben Curry is looking the sharpest of the two. Tom Curry's extra bulk, he was used at number 8 in this game, but he's not looking particularly sharp compared to the amazing flankers on offer. Will he be in that England starting team, in that 23? Probably. I'm not sure he deserves it on form. Let me know what you think there. But yeah, Ben Curry, amazing support play. A long pass off his left hand on the run. Absolutely perfect. Gives Roebuck a really nice chance to step and finish. And Roebuck had a much better game, much more influential, especially considering he's been selected in the first England training squad. So good to show what he can do in the air and finishing. And more good news for Sale as big Dan de Preer makes his return to the Premiership. A really big impact off the bench, so that was good for them. Newcastle really need all their players available. Sammy Arnold at inside centre wasn't there, and he's the one who makes gain line, makes a few offloads. Sure, Falcons number 8, Callum Chick, is a quality player, an excellent captain, but it's got to be hard being on that losing team consistently. And if they do get relegated in the playoff, which I'm sure they'll be in, I hope the 27-year-old makes a move to a bigger team just to give one real chance to shine. We also saw, though, a young scrum half, 18-year-old Joe Davis, come on for Newcastle, and I think at some point he will play for England seniors. There was a little bit of controversy that he wasn't in the under-20s squad this time. I think he will be out next year, though, because he's got 2 years. But he looks really good, so those are the positives for Newcastle. On the Sale side, Joe Carpenter had a good game, created the second try for Reid with a chip and regather. Some nice high ball takes, so that's good for him. Just to show England selectors he's still in the game, and Tom Roebuck capped it off by a superb crossfield kick take for the final try of the night. So a nice easy win for Sale there. On the England watch list, Ben Curry, Tom Roebuck and Joe Carpenter. Now Exeter were at home to Bristol, but they couldn't get the win once again. It's 35-40, but goodness me, Exeter dominated much of this game, but then Bristol came back with a scintillating yellow card period, and Rob Baxter is going to be absolutely apoplectic about this game. He was pretty annoyed with his young squad already, making lots of mistakes, and this was a game they 100% should have won. Of course, Bristol, massive credit for the way they stayed in the game. We know they can score from anywhere really quickly, and that's exactly what they did. But to start with, Exeter completely dominate the first 10 minutes. Vast spells of possession, but they can only get 3 points, and that's kind of the theme of the game. Bristol get one sniff of opportunism down a very short size, but they've got such good hands, which they practice all the time. Luatua, Fitzharding and Batley freeing Marmion. All of those guys, absolutely phenomenal players. Fitzharding, Batley, I think they're on the England watch list. Fitzharding, not the biggest back rower, but goodness me, he's dynamic and quick. And Batley, again, not the biggest second row, but so creative. Will they fit into the international setting? I'm not sure, but I think they go on the watch list to say they are really form players at the moment. So after that try against the run of play, Exeter are all over Bristol once again. A good 5 attacks repelled on 18 minutes until a wide pass by Skinner gives Brown Bampo enough space to scoot in. He had a really good game. He's a guy who's emerged this season. In pre-season, he was really good for Exeter, and he's the real deal, an X7's player there. So that's 8-5 to Exeter. Good, but they should have scored at least 2 or 3 tries, I think, in the first 25 minutes, and they only got 1. But you've got to love the way that Exeter get their wings involved all the time, especially Emmanuel Fayewabusu. He's there all over the place. Scrum half, sniffing around the ruck. Ross Vincent is all over the place, the back row. What a player Italy have. Those two were phenomenal. But Bristol only need one chance, and an Exeter high clear-out penalty gives it to them. They get into the 22 and they go into their amazing basketball offloading, and they practice it. It's not like they're just throwing it around for the sake of it. This is how they practice to play. And Van Rensburg, the centre, who will be England qualified in 2026 in time for the World Cup, he draws and gives perfectly for that second row Joe Batley to score. He's so good out wide. Probably the best second row in the wide space. Is definitely, like I said, on the England watch list. Don't know if he's physical enough for the international game, but anyway, so that's 8-12 after 30 minutes, completely against the run of the game. Now, many times Exeter are almost in, but amazing number of turnovers from Bristol. We had Marmion playing 9, which is a rare chance instead of Randall, and he was a real nuisance. They've got 2 fantastic 9s that so fit their style of play. I mean, it is high risk and it's got to come with a health warning, but it's got to be so exciting. Being a Bristol Bears fan, let me know in the comments below if you are one and how you feel about it. But anyway, Exeter are getting loads of practice with their phase attack. They're running their shapes side to side. Looks pretty, but Bristol are very quickly reloading in defence, and it's tiring out Exeter attacking as much as it is the defenders defending, until Emmanuel Fayewabusu, who is a game breaker, has had enough of this side-to-side attack, and he just goes himself, picks up from scrum half, combo of power and pace, hands off Van Rensburg and Luatua in one go, which is some doing, and races under the post. Brilliant individual score. 15-12 at half time, and I think Exeter deserved the lead, but Bristol will be gutted to lose that one to Emmanuel Fayewabusu because they were defending pretty well. On 55 minutes, I make a note that there's very little kick tennis. It's very entertaining. Rusi Tuima is held up, still can't score. He made an impressive rush tackle to get that chance, dislodging the ball, but they do score on the next build-up play, and it's Bristol's turn not to mark that short side quickly enough. And the Puma debutant for Exeter, Molina, the second row, really sharp pass to put in Brown Bampo for his second try, showing real wheels to finish down the line. So that's looking good for Exeter now. 25-12. They're starting to stretch away, getting that lead at their dominance kind of deserved, I guess. And on the hour, it really looks to be all over with Exeter getting the win as McGinty forces a long pass and Emmanuel Fayewabusu plucks it out of the air and swan dives for a finish. Brilliant interception, 32-12. And you're thinking, surely Exeter can't lose this with the lead and with the dominance in possession they have, until poor Goodrick Clark. I'd say poor, he did make a lot of mistakes. He gives away a penalty for sealing off. Tuima then backchats or something like that, gives away an extra 10 metres. Then Frost gets a yellow card and it's starting to become unravelled. And what a fantastic line from Gabriel O'Gray, the form hooker probably of the Premiership, hitting a sick line out to win, and an appalling tackle attempt from Goodrick Clark, who's a bit of a lumbering prop, to be honest. Looks a little out of his depth. I mean, I do remember when the guy got a call up by Eddie Jones and he looked so out of place when he played for the Barbars. I'm sure he's a good scrummager, but my God, he looked really slow, and that was just a plethora of mistakes there for sure. And it just feels like Exeter were waiting for this yellow card period. After Gabriel O'Gray scored, they've got one less defender to defend against, and their offloading just works that bit better. Exeter are still trying to rush up in defence to block off McGinty's passes, but McGinty is marked by the slow Goodrick Clark. I hate to pick on him, but it was him again, unfortunately. So he just dummies, flies through, and a brilliant heads-up kick ahead for Ibitoy to rush onto. What pace Ibitoy has. Another form winger. There's so many young form wingers in the Premiership. So much to choose from for Borthwick. Or will he just stick to the tried and tested? That's an interesting debate. Sounds harsh on Goodrick Clark, but he's kind of throwing this game away here, as well as the yellow card, of course. So 31-26, Bristol start clawing it back. There's only 10 minutes to go. But then there's 3 tries in the yellow card period as Van Rensburg throws a brilliant offload out of the Hodge tackle. Goodrick Clark, unfortunately, is close again, can't get across to make the extra man. Sorry, he was there again, and Ibitoy makes Skinner look really silly with an amazing piece of footwork, amazing try, great pace, 32-33. Bristol take the lead, but the mayhem of this yellow card period is not over as they score a 4th try. Harry Randall's on for Marmion, and he is just the quickest, sharpest guy in the Premiership at 9, darts down a tiny blindside, and then in field, very cleverly to create the space outside for Ibitoy to get his hat-trick. 35-40, that yellow card period threw it away. Bristol made the most of it. Devastation for Exeter. They cannot get a win. There's a good team in there. They just can't put it together when it mattered. But this one will hurt the most of all of them. So on the England list, we have Joe Batley, Harry Randall, Gabriel Ibitoy, Emmanuel Fewabusu and Bram Bampo of Exeter. Those 2 wingers there. Plenty of excitement from that game. Let me know what you thought of it. Then on to the West Country derby. Gloucester versus Bath. 31-55. So many points. So exciting, not least because Gloucester now throw this ball around all over the place. That completely new style, which they're going for 100%. Fair enough. Bath are a bit of a mix of both. They can open up, but they can do a lot of power as well. And for the first try, that's what they did. Free kick, shifted it around a little bit, getting Barbary and Abano running at a scrum half and a fly half from 5 metres, and there's only one winner, and that is Abano there. Gloucester's first try showed their strength, their ball handling ambition. Young Welsh winger Josh Hathaway with the final back of the hand offload. So 2 good tries to start the derby with. Now on an England note, Ted Hill, the back rower, was operating as a second row in this game. And boy did he look bloody good in the line out. He's big enough, maybe not a lighthouse jumper, but he's definitely big enough to be a back row and a second row, which could make him much more pickable for England. He wasn't picked in the first squad with no idea why. Surely he'll make the overall squad when it's announced next week. I say surely, I'm actually not sure at all, but he should do. One thing you can see from Gloucester is they've been working so hard on the training pitch with their variations in attack. It's so great to watch. Good hands, good crossfield kicks, setting up mauls in open play, tap penalty variations. They're really here to play this season. They're going to be exciting. I'm not sure if they're going to make top 4, but it's going to be exciting to see them go. And early on, Bath are kind of getting sucked into this fast game, which is not really the one they want to play. And Gloucester's second try is training ground perfection, phase attack, 2 passes to Thomas Williams, who's wrapping around, then a deeper wrapping around from Charlie Atkinson, around the edge, and then back the other way. And captain Thomas Williams spots the gap as Bath desperately track around at a rate of knots to try and defend the opposite direction. Perfect stuff. And a few minutes later, it's Gloucester again on fire, this time running from deep, as Zach Mercer makes the break, looking quicker than ever. This game plan really suits Zach Mercer. Is it going to be enough to get him to the England squad? I really don't think so, especially because he's leaving this year, but he had a great game. He wraps around the short side and breaks 50 metres, and Atkinson finishes. What a great game. Bath needs to get some control quickly because the Cherry and Whites are really firing. 21-10. Now Zach Mercer's opposite man, Alfie Barbary, can't make 50-metre outside breaks, but boy can he batter up the middle, and he does that to set up Finn Russell to roll around and just about score. So game on. And I think Jack Singleton in that attack got a bit too excited because he chipped the ball away from his own 22 to give the ball to Bath for that try. So that is 21-17. And that can be the problem when you play this expansive game. People try some silly things sometimes, get a bit excited. That was the case there. And on the half hour, Bath fancy winning this power game, and they pretty much do in this game. Barbary and the big boys having a go at Route 1. 10 plus phases, 5 metres from the Gloucester line, but Gloucester showed good resilience and survive, but definitely the power game is with Bath. I know that Bath can whiz the ball around, but something noticeable in this game is the handling is done all by the backs and the bash is done all by the forwards, very traditional, whereas Gloucester definitely share out the handling a lot more. So that's 24-17 at half time, Gloucester ahead. And in the second half, Gloucester open up where they left off with the wraparound play from Thomas Williams looking really good, but then a really dull offside chase from Ollie Thorley, who's clearly in front of the kicker and gifts Bath a penalty. And that's kind of Ollie Thorley's issue, really. He's strong, he's quick. Does he think enough? Not sure. So anyway, Bath say thank you very much. Go route one once again and power over fairly easily via Urbano for his second try. So that was a killer from Thorley, which killed the momentum they had again. So it's back all square, 24 all. Another player to mention is Jack Clement for Gloucester. He's only 23 years old, playing blindside today. He could make a charge for England. Still one to watch, that is for sure. Anyway, he's on the watch list along with Zach Mercer. And a note for Bath, Ben Spencer clearly has the best box kick in the league for an English player, that is for sure. And that was really helpful for Bath clearing their lines. But the flow of Gloucester's attack looks class, and it's met by some huge tackles from the likes of Ted Hill. He goes on the list, another great game for Ted Hill. Like I said, looked brilliant in the second row. On 53 minutes, we get the third try without response for Bath. To be fair, it's against 14 players this time, and it's all the backs doing the passing and all the forwards doing the straight running. Simple, but done very fast. It's really hard to defend, and Bayliss finishes 24-36. Russell struggling with his goal kicking. I think he doesn't like the ball they use in the Premiership, but he's not looking that great with his kicks. And towards the end of the game, Gloucester just falling off a little bit on their pace for attack, which is to be expected. They're getting a little bit desperate, forcing it a bit too much, and Mercer goes for a speculative pop over the top, and de Glanville gobbles it up and shows really good wheels actually to go the length. Now last season Tom de Glanville looked very skillful, but I wasn't sure he had the speed and physicality to go for England, but he's showing that now. Definitely improved his physicality and his acceleration, so I think he goes on the England watch list. He could definitely do it. He's got the skills for sure, and that was a great finish there. But there is time for Ollie Thorley to make up a little bit with a solo score going through Stewart and Maloney. He is big, he is fast, like I said, but that is the last score. At least he gets a bonus point for Gloucester. The conversion falls off the tee actually, but George Barton, an unbelievable goal kicker, drop kicks it anyway. He's impressive. If you want a goal kicking 15, he is your man, that's for sure. That Thorley try was the last for Gloucester, I should say, but Bath have two more in the bag. Ollie Lawrence, the first one, with a piston-like handoff. He's looking in great form at 13, certainly. He goes on the England list. And then Jacko Kotzier, big Bath forward, finishes off with a pick and go. So Bath have got a huge weapon there with that power game that Gloucester don't really have, but Gloucester are looking exciting. They're looking dangerous. They're going to win games. On the England watch list then is Jack Clement, Zach Mercer for Gloucester, and then Benno Urbano, Ted Hill, Ollie Lawrence and Tom de Glanville for Bath. Then Leicester 24, Northampton 8, and it sounds like Leicester ran away with this game, but they didn't really, to be honest. Northampton banged away, knocked at the door a lot of times, but just couldn't get over, couldn't get that attacking game going like they did last year. And just 1 minute in, Leicester opened the scoring, a little lucky to get the chance as the penalty they got to initiate the attack was fortunate, as Dan Kelly looked to have not released to me. But anyway, you take your chances. They run a tap penalty or free kick. I can't quite remember which one it is, but they run a good variation, as we're seeing from all the teams. They dummy to set up a 5-man maul, and Chesham pops it out of contact. And Northampton aren't particularly full, but they are moving sideways, which allows Freddie Stewart enough time to get a soft shoulder on James Ram to power through. Freddie Stewart had a brilliant game for sure. I think he was man of the match. And if you want a big, powerful 15, he is your man. If you want a nippy, jinky, counter-attacking man, he isn't your man. So it's a difficult one. He is in form. He does deserve to be in the England squad, but is he the type of 15 they're looking for? Very fascinating stuff. Let me know what you think. And the first 10 minutes, like the rest of the game, to be honest, was fairly sloppy. Lots of penalties. For example, Ollie Chesham and the whole defensive line clearly offside for Leicester. Not sure why they did that. Anyway, that leads to Sam Graham spinning out of contact and stretching for the line, but the TMO can't confirm He grounds it. That was tough on Saints. They did have some tough breaks in this game. It wasn't their day. Could easily have been 7-7. And then on the next play, poor Sam Graham, who's been so good for Northampton after coming from the Championship. He has a horrible looking knee injury, which they don't show a replay of because it's pretty bad. It sounds like he dislocated it. I hope he can come back, but he'll be out for a while. Rafael gets a yellow for that one, probably because of the injury, when really it was just a penalty, but that was a nasty one. But Saints do capitalise on that yellow with a really nice crossfield kick, wide right to Ram, who beats Stewart, who comes up far too quickly, to be honest. Then he goes back wide, left to Tommy Freeman, who beats Ollie Hassel-Collins really nicely, 1-1 to score. But the TMO correctly calls it back for a Furbank knock-on. So again, Northampton a little unlucky, but yeah, it was forward. Really poor attempt on the tackle from Ollie Hassel-Collins. He's desperately trying to get back into that England frame, but there's so many form wingers at the moment, I just don't think he's going to do it. One real big positive for Leicester was their scrum all game. The starting front row of Smith, Montoya and Hayes were getting the best of Saints all the time. Good game for Hayes, very solid. Not sure he's a world beater, but this was a good game for him. It's not a great game to watch, to be honest, for me. Not much flow to it, but this is how Leicester play. Plus the Saints' young pack can't quite grind with Leicester as much as they can. Anyway, they want to play fast, ball in hand, like they did last season, and they get some decent possession, but they just can't make anything stick, and the aggressive Leicester defence is hard to play around, so just such a horrible place to go and play, which is how Leicester want it, of course. On 32 minutes, Curtis Langdon, who has struggled to impose himself on this Premiership, goes out of control into Wells upright. He actually comes off worse, but cops a yellow anyway. But Leicester are conceding penalties, so it's pretty messy stuff. So it's 10-3 at half-time. But then Leicester give a yellow card back. It's Pollard who just doesn't decide to dip, which he can do sometimes. Bolt upright is pretty soft, but it is a yellow. But despite the messy game, some players did stand out. Ollie Chesham for Leicester has improved his ball carrying, which is great for England. He had a big game. And then good hands for Stewart, who comes in the line and enables Ollie Hassel-Collins to break clear down the left, and Tigers happy to camp in the Saints 22 in less of a rush than Northampton, but they can't make anything stick either. Now Northampton bring on Trevor Davison, the recent England call-up, to try and get this scrum solid, but that's still not working either. For Leicester, we see Anthony Watson smashed into touch. He just doesn't quite have that physicality he used to, I think. Just a touchdown on his acceleration and power, I think. And then they bring big Freddie Stewart into the line straight and hard, setting up a play that Cracknell powers over to score. Not pretty, but effective. 17-3, and it's just getting away from Northampton a bit. They bring on Tom Pearson, who adds some forward power. On the hour, Northampton start building nicely in attack, and they had plenty of chances to attack. But then one of the best timed interceptions you're going to see from young Joe Woodward, who goes streaking through on the flat pass, takes it at pace. Pearson has to cop a yellow because he gets back in desperation, and Chesham powers over with some powerful pick and go. 24-3, and Saints just can't recover from that in the end. Let's talk about one Saints player who looked really good though, young Henry Pollock. Last year he was a standout for the under-20s, and I got many comments saying he's just not going to be physical enough for that professional senior game, but I think we got our answer here, especially considering he got brought on at number 8 instead of Pearson. That's saying something, and he carried really, really hard. Not the perfect game, made a few mistakes, but you can see he's going to be a real player. I think he will play for England soon, and maybe in 2025, when players are away on the Lions tour, maybe he goes away with England on a development tour. He's one to watch for sure. Not on the England list yet though, but definitely exciting stuff. 10 minutes to go. Northampton are continuing to press, lots of attack, but Tigers just make everything so hard, winding down the clock, of course, as Northampton just can't breach that tough defence, and lots of little knock-ons, killing Saints as well, but it's such tough going. Leicester can't get out of their half, but it doesn't really matter, as they just suck up the clock. But finally, we do see sheer amount of attacking possession tell, and a nice line-out back peel, and then slicing line from Freeman gets the try they wanted, but it doesn't mean anything, because they get nothing out of the game. 24-8, so desperately disappointing for Saints. They're trying to play like they did last season without that forward dominance. Can they get it going if they get all their players on the pitch at one time, but Leicester are looking like classic Leicester. Definitely Michael Cheika has found the right home. He is playing the Leicester way, and they are going to get many wins and just be incredibly hard to beat. So the two guys on the England watch list for me were Freddie Stewart and Ollie Chesham, epitomising everything Leicester were about. And then the final game of the derby weekend was Harlequins versus Saracens. It wasn't as high scoring, but it was probably the most exciting, I would say. These are two sides that really don't like each other, but Sarries have been getting the wins for the past 4 years, so could Harlequins do it? And yes, they could. An unbelievable effort at home. But the first big event was a horrible one. Onyema Christie gets a really bad injury. They don't show the replay, but it's going to be really nasty. I hope he can recover from that one. But that was a horrible start to the game. And Harlequins, they have clearly gone for a big trucker back row of Dino Lamb, Jack Kenningham and Chisholm, sacrificing speed for sure. And it worked in the end, but we can see the positives of them bashing it up at the beginning, up the guts, making 30 metres, and then the negatives when Saracens chip in behind and Chisholm is so slow chasing back. They give away a yellow, so positives and negatives in the end. It was a gamble that paid off. We can see that well-known Saracens press defence making it really hard for Harlequins, moving the ball wide. We can see some big half breaks and offloads from the likes of Tom Willis and Bernal. They are dangerous for sure. But the key thing for Harlequins is in that yellow card period, they do not concede points. They're going fairly basic. Big kicks from Smith, big carries from the likes of Lamb and Kenningham. But that was a big job, still being at 0-0 at 25 minutes. Quins do manage to get round Saracens on 25 minutes, but that press is so fast they have to concede 30 metres to do it, so they just can't make gain line, so it's really finely balanced. But the first side to slip up is Saracens, who have this annoying habit of screaming and whooping and hollering, which everyone seems to not like, and they actually get a penalty against them for it, and Quins kick it to 5 metres out. It's tough work, but Finn Baxter, who looks like he's stopped on the line, uses pure body strength to lever himself over. Top score for a young prop, and there's a reason why he could well start for England in November, that is for sure. So 7-0, kind of against the run of play. Harlequins are ahead, and yeah, Finn Baxter easily on the England watch list, as he could be every single round. On the next Saracens attack, Bernal shows that he doesn't need to whoop and holler to make an impact, as he hits a killer line off Alex Good to break 30 metres. They're in a great attacking position, as Saracens were in a lot of this game, just living in the Quins 22 for a lot of it. Waves of runners until the smallest player, Nick David, actually smashes Jamie George into touch, and that epitomises the game for Quins. Just such great defence. Saracens have so many great positions, but after half an hour, still no points. And with 2 minutes to go before half-time, Saracens are still on the attack. So much pressure, but then Kenningham comes to the rescue with a great jackal. He may be not the quickest player around Kenningham, but he's big, he's bulky, he's rangy. He's on the England watch list as a number 6, even though he's playing number 7, I think, in this game. And Quins could easily have kicked it out with 40 plus minutes on the clock, but they go for one more score, and my God, they really should score. But Dino Lamb at the crucial time, instead of just accepting he's been stopped short, goes for an extra push and gets easily held up. That was a bit of a killer, or could have been a killer. In the end it wasn't. They could have been 14-0 up, instead they're 7-0 up, which is still pretty good comeback for the amount of pressure the Saracens have had on them. Now in the 10 minutes after half-time, Saracens continue to pour on the pressure, and they finally bust that Quins dam. Pure power from Willis, and then Tizard batters over to eventually get their score 7-all. And at this point I'm just thinking maybe Saracens are going to finally stretch clear, but on 52 minutes it's Quins who get the next score. It's just from a long kick, it's broken field, and Saracens just try and wrap around too much, and Maui, Willis and Daly just get everything a bit wrong. Maui and Willis shoot past the ball wrapping around. Daly tries to shoot in on Smith, but gets gassed and stepped, and he frees Porter, who breaks and feeds Anianwu out wide for a really good score. Saracens will be gutted letting that one in just from a kick in midfield. 14-7. It's not like Saracens are playing badly. There's some nice handling from the likes of Fergus Burke, who continues to improve. He's definitely on the radar. In fact, I think I will put him on the England watch list because he's been consistently good for Saracens, so he goes on the watch list, I think. Lazowski, some good hands, but Quins are just too tough to crack. Then on just about the hour, Tobias Elliott stands up and goes around veteran fullback Lee Halfpenny, and Elliott looks super impressive, as he did in the whole season, that's for sure so far. And Saracens work into the Quins 22 for another large set of phases, and Elliott again super dangerous, but they just can't quite convert. The story of the game. So yeah, I think Elliott goes on the list along with Burke, two very exciting players. On 65 minutes there's a crucial jackal from Nathan Jabulu, who continues to impress the young hooker, as Saracens knock at that door for sure. And then on 69 minutes, they're bringing on the big guns. Cunningham South, he's just a big bowling ball of a guy. He makes a big run, but Bennell super quick to get the jackal surely, but he gets pinged, no idea why. That was really unlucky for Saracens. But anyway, they convert the penalty. So at 17-7 beyond that converted try. And it's tough for Saracens to come back. Even though they continue to dominate for long periods of attack, they just can't get back into that try zone. And they get 3 points at least to bring it to 17-10. But it's just not enough in the end. Atoje was pretty impressive. Good engine, some good turnovers. And one last big set of phases for Saracens. One more big defensive set for Quins, story of the game, and Kenningham and co hold up the ball for a maul turnover and they wind down the clock for a massive win. A pretty heroic defensive effort at home. They finally get their win against Saracens after 4 years, so that was really exciting, but Saracens are still a very good side. They'll convert more chances in other games. I'll definitely go and work at that. So that is my big review of round 4 of the Gallagher Premiership. And we're building up to internationals. The England squad gets announced next week. There's going to be lots more videos coming about that. So do subscribe to get in on the action. Love to know those thoughts down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you again next time.